Good morning,
Good morning.
friends.
Good morning.
I love how my voice worked perfectly till we got started.
It was sexy. That was good morning. I was like, oh my god, oh my god. What did you do last?
Welcome to Lila's Just Woke Up voice.
Oh, what a pleasure. They
It
were trying to
sounds like
see.
this at 1 o'clock in the morning, too, no matter what I've been doing.
Let's see. Yeah, got us down here. So share. Uh, so what's going on in your world, Miss Magically? Happy 4th of July, people. For those who celebrate that. Uh,
Yes, friends.
hope all is well with individuals out there. Just gonna finish sharing this to a few people. Um, let's see, Portland Dazzle, Access Conscious, Los Angeles, Florida, Australia. What else? Portland Healers. Um,
John is connected. I put it in my stories and I put it on my timeline.
I don't know how to do that. You're gonna show me how to do that.
Okie dokie.
Okay, I have one being naked. I don't even know. I hope they don't mind me saying it's connected to
That's
her.
Venus's. I think she'll be fine.
There we go. Okay. Now let me go back and see if I can see people's beautiful message in their faces. They show faces will be kind of different, huh? Okay.
Hi,
So,
Rihanna.
oh, we have somebody on there. Okay. Good morning, Rihanna. I love that and it's that name. It reminds me of one of my favorite songs.
What is it?
It's Stevie Nicks. I think sings a song called Rihanna.
Okay. I thought it was a Rihanna song. When I saw her name, I thought Skin, which is my favorite Rihanna
Uh,
song.
uh. So, people, what we're going to talk about. And so, yesterday I did this wonderful class. Uh,
He calls it a class. I called it church.
Thank you. Uh, and somebody else popped up. Oh,
Rhiannon.
Rhiannon. Okay. Rhiannon. Okay.
Thank you
Thank you,
for
sister.
correcting our pronunciation.
That's cool. So, uh, first of all, let me get out of the way. When I say happy fourth, I don't want to be like Debbie Downer, but I really, once you start getting the mindset of not having a point of view, it's a day off that I enjoy. I get to be in the yard. I get to do what I want to do, hang out with my kids. It's not, I don't really do a specific rah, 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 rah. I've never been able to be like that though. Uh,
Mm.
that's the name of the song.
Rhiannon is the name of the Stevie Nicks song.
Okay. Thank you. So what I really saw, but I knew we are gonna do. We both woke up just a few minutes before. It's a holiday, and so I didn't realize I was gonna sleep in like I was gonna sleep in. Thank God, my body knew what it needed. Uh, but what I really want to talk about is the magic of this sister on my right in my screen. I don't know how that works for everybody else, but to my right, her magic of being is phenomenal. I can't say enough about her insight. And if you haven't had a session, or even if things are like blah, she should have her website up now. I don't know if that's really up or not, but uh, I'm saying that because I have gratitude for her because last year, when I was going through stuff, she had such great insight and was such a contribution to the morale of my living, if I should say. Uh, I don't think we talk about each other enough like that to like support, especially having gratitude. Gratitude is what makes you different.
Mm.
And also, well, the funniest thing about when you hang out with somebody, I call her my sister from another mama, humanoids, they always don't think they're getting it the way they get the shit. And she's a prime example of always like her parenting skills. She'll play them way down and she'll let the other the poop that's in the dirt come up, but the flower you never get to really, she don't want to really talk about. And I find that kind of amazing of being humanoids like that. And so today we're going to celebrate the magic of her being. And she's going to talk a little bit about how she does what she does. And
Thank you,
y'all
man.
better listen.
Like how I do what I do. That's a great question. Um, Part of it is gift. I will say
Mm,
that. Like I did enter the planet with a certain insight, um, and a certain automatic connection to source. And I guess I was just left alone to nurture that. Like I do often talk shit about the people who raised me. And I say it like that because I wasn't raised by traditional parents. Like
mhm.
my mother and my grandparents were like a divorced couple with joint custody of me. So my time was divided between my grandparents and my mom.
Yeah.
Um, but I spent a lot of time with my feet, literally my feet on the dirt because I grew up in Mississippi. And even when I moved to Chicago, my mom was like, "Can you please put some shoes on? Like, I'm worried about you stepping on something and contracting something that a shop can't cure walking around Chicago barefoot." A lot of times, my actual feet on the actual earth. And
I
I,
like that though. Let's stop and talk about that. What did you know about that? Like,
so I just knew. Like, I don't know what I knew, but I knew enough that at, I'm trying to do math, 32, when I was still pretty depressed,
mhm,
um, one of the protocols that God gave me, and I say God, y'all, I haven't been Christian a really long time, but it's still God, so just roll with me. One of the protocols that God gave me was to sit in the sun for 15 minutes twice a day with my bare feet on the ground. And that alone, for two reasons that I only know in hindsight, created massive change for me. It was, well, three reasons. It was a sit your ass down because super mom, three toddlers, like, please have a seat. So for 15 minutes twice a day, I sat my ass down. I wasn't on my phone. I was just sitting in the sun. So I guess we could call it meditation.
yeah.
Um, and it was the vitamin D. I was severely vitamin D deficient, but I actually didn't find that out until the next winter.
Mhm.
Um, and I had this stomach problem that cleared up on its own, but it was from the vitamin D deficiency. So it didn't really clear up on its own. It cleared up from me sitting my ass in the sun
Wow.
every day.
See how wise bodies are? They know what they need.
Right. And it was the grounding of putting my bare feet on the ground.
Yeah.
There is the spiritual connection with the earth, but there is also the scientific reality that earth has its own frequency,
Hmm.
and putting your bare skin on it calibrates you to the frequency of earth. So,
Man.
struggling to get your chakras balanced, put your feet on the ground, homie.
Yeah. Man. That's to come like when remember I told you that I was gonna go fishing and I was like, I stopped and I was like, I still got my pole and shit, but like I got yard. The yard is just I here's the piece. Sometimes you go looking for something a distance away and it's right in your backyard. It's not saying this is not a negative thing, but being in the yard with earth and connecting with earth is the greatest gift that we have. And unfortunately, as Bob Marley has sung in some of his song Concrete Jungle, people lose sight of the presence of being with earth.
Yeah.
It is
I told
healing.
you yesterday, like, playing in the garden is like a excusable substitute to going fishing. Like
Yeah,
you're unplugged, you're in the garden,
yeah,
you're still nourishing yourself. You're not
yeah,
working, which is what I was
yeah,
trying to get you to stop doing. Even though
yeah,
work is play for you, you
yeah.
still need to like,
Break. Yeah, I need a break of it. Yeah.
yeah.
Uh, but that for me, that's amazing. Like especially like when I get off of here, first I was like, well, I'm gonna lay back down. No, I'm not. I'm gonna go. I well, you can go
I'm
straight to
so
bed
tired.
because
I'm
y'all.
tired
I
for
know it's
no
secret, but I
reason.
can't say because bed ready pretty much. Y'all just don't know. Uh, but
That's something about me. Actually, we can talk about that. That's something about me that I haven't like learned to master or wield.
like what?
I have a magnetic, sexual, and sensual energy that's just kind of free floating out in space.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, yeah. We've had discussions about that, and then you wonder how come guys can be like, because. So let's talk about that. Most people don't want to. Let's talk about that. And there's so many things about it that I adore about you. It's like you don't get caught up on what other people think about it, but also not having the awareness of like not to put your business out there, how guys are going to be attracted to you, just attracted, energetically going to be attracted, and not
So
knowing
that
your potency of like an access, they call it sexual healer. I'm not saying you always have to have sex with somebody in that process, but people will come to you because of the energy that you be. And they might not even have the awareness of that. So a lot of
yeah,
times in a relationship, people have this broad energy, broad energy, and not being aware that people are coming to that. It's just like like when I hear you say, and this is just me, I don't know what you always say. When you tell me that you were depressed earlier, and now I sit with you, homie, girl, you so fucking uber sensitive and aware that I know some things you said with me in the past, just like you had some things that was like, what the hell? But the other part of it is the awareness that you be. I mean, when
yeah,
I first met you, I mean, we never met in person, but I was so magnetically drawn to this sister. I was like, ooh. And then it turned into a weekly thing. And
yeah.
I'm just,
I want to speak to two of those things. The depression first. For
mhm,
me, um, my spidey senses usually allow me. There have been two instances where I have thought that someone else's shit is mine.
you're right.
Most of the time, I know that that's yours and this is mine, and I'm like chill with wielding that. But for me, it comes when I feel stuck.
Hmm.
I get on a bunch of levels now that I am a powerhouse. Like I grasp that. I
Yeah.
need to remind myself every day. I grasp
Yeah.
that. Um, but in certain instances, and I think you talked about this in the class yesterday, like I will hold my power back or I'll hold my potency back because I'm trying to pre-rescue other people from my wrath, essentially.
Mm.
Y'all, I'm tiny, but I'm furious sometimes. Um, and so whenever I am basically like trying to make things go a certain way, because we always have choices.
Hmm.
And whenever I look at my choices, I'm like, I like none of those. I'm just, you got universe, give me more choices because I don't like these. They all fucking suck and I don't move. That's when I get depressed. That's when I feel stuck is when I get depressed. When I can't see how to change something that is like weighing on me is when I get depressed. But also it was chemical because um what I didn't know before my official depression diagnosis is
Hmm.
all of the things in our bodies that keep us balanced, but also that hormonal birth control contributes to depression in such a way that it depletes vitamin B from your system. And I was on it for 4 years. And then I went and had 3 kids. And I
Yeah.
never replenished those vitamins. and minerals.
Yeah.
So my system was like, ah, and
And,
that
and
ah was depression.
yeah, and that's also, I think a lot of shit happens to us because this is just my thing, is not asking. Like even like I do homeopathy, and now I ask my body all the fucking time, is this what you desire? And I still haven't conquered, like yesterday, and I have to quit. I'm gonna say this here. I'm gonna stop beating me up. Like yesterday, I had a couple
Thank
cocktails with
you.
my friend, and I just had a couple cocktails, and I had more ice cream, and I made apple crisp that I probably should have eaten, but I don't eat it every day. So, uh, happy pre-holiday. So, and I'll do something different today. But I think that awareness with body, going back to body, and not beating yourself up because after you have the awareness, is really important. That's the other thing I appreciate about you. It's just like you keep it moving, you keep it moving,
I try.
and you create shit.
I do.
Yeah.
Well, typically I do. Right now I'm trying my hardest not to, even though life is like, hey. Um, so that's the other thing. Like there's there's that innate like built-in thing about me, and then there's my nerdiness and the way it's set up. I love a pattern. I was 12 years old when I started down this pattern breaking path for really relationships. I'm listening to my mother. So, y'all, Papa was a Rolling Stone.
Uh-huh.
I'm listening to my mother tell me the same story for the 9 billionth time about how my dad cheated on her when she was 8 months pregnant with me. So she broke up with his lying, cheating ass. I was 6 months old when she found out she was already pregnant with my brother. By the time she was 8 months pregnant with him, she found out that his dad was cheating on her. So she broke up with his lying, cheating ass, got her tubes tied so no more babies by no more men. But I'm listening to this story and I'm like, it's you, mom.
Yeah.
Like these two random boys from Mississippi did not put their heads together and go, let's fuck with her. I think we
Yeah.
should. What do you think? You in? You in? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's not at all what they did. Like my mom had this lie to me, cheat on me sticker on her forehead, and the boys were like, oh, I can fulfill that for you.
Yeah.
And so they showed up.
Yeah.
I
So
made some different choices. Go ahead.
So yeah, you made some different choices. How would you suggest now, hindsight, that people prevent that from happening? What could they do or be?
I won't say prevent because really, with these kinds of things, you can't see them until you're in them.
Hmm. Can you not?
So
That's the question
I
that I have. Is
really,
that do people tell
okay,
you
so I
who they
guess
are?
you can,
Because there was
but
a
how we're
famous.
built, like how we're built in these bodies on this planet, it's really, I think this is part of the party. I think this is part of the game. I think that personally, I came to have 4 catastrophes at a time. Part of that is because I am so resilient that I will sail through one and I will sail through a second one and I will sail through a third one. But like being homeless and pregnant and going through a divorce,
Right.
that's a bit much. The pregnant part I could handle. My mom's boyfriend kicked me out. I was like, deuces, homie.
Right.
That going through the divorce piece on top of all of that. And then the baby got stuck and I was working retail and it became a lot. But it had to become a lot. Otherwise, I would have sailed right past and missed the lessons because I'm pretty good at that.
So uh,
Here's what I think you're asking, and here's what I have to say. Look at it while you're in it. Now, one of the things that I have the advantage of is because I am wired the way that I am, I looked at my mother, I looked at my aunts and uncles' relationships, I looked
uh-huh.
at my grandparents' relationship, and I was like, ooh, 50 Shades of Dysfunction. Got it. And there was infidelity, like through and through. I had one relationship where I was cheated on. because I stayed with him until I was done with that pattern.
You know something, and so that's what I think. That's the piece that like when I hear it. So that the thing that I wonder is that I'm always wondering where was the telltale sign that we all have. Okay, I said this to somebody, some kid once before. If Creator God would offer a bird a nest or offer something to an animal so that they could survive, what are the things that we are offered that we never pay attention to, that we ask the question about, would prevent that? So how many times, for example, a good friend of mine who's dead now, unfortunately, Aaron Bell, said this to me once before. He said some shit to me that just was weird. He's like, most people have their children under the influence. I'm like, what? He said, okay, 10 o'clock, anytime in the United States, Saturday night, clubs are open, people drinking, smoking weed, they're doing this and doing that. Lights are dark, they're not really getting to know the person. They fuck, baby comes out, some get married, some don't. And you really don't know who that person was, because in a healthier situation, you would get to know who that was. So how many people got AIDS disease because they hit it and they didn't realize this motherfucker was a freak, or they didn't like, I never want to be married. I didn't really want kids. You never have the question. So you look at and you go with just the energy of fucking. And I'm saying I'm using that word, and I'm really using that word because it's not it creates a space. And I know people, oh man, you saying that because you, oh no, I'm saying this because I think that a lot of people don't find out. They go with the eye instead of the heart, and they think it's the heart. Oh, my heart goes pitter pat. No, that's your sexual organs going pitter patter, motherfucker.
It's
That
your
is not.
sacral, homie. That's not your heart. That's a lesson. That's what
Yeah.
that is.
So, so a lot of times, so what I'm looking at now is that how many things could have been prevented, but I just didn't want to ask any questions, or or you get information and you still go with it.
And you
The
ignore the
house is on
information.
fire. The house is on fire. The house is on fire. I'm Super John. I'm going in to put out the fire. I don't have a bucket of water or a hose with me.
That's funny. I love that. Yeah, 100%. Um, that is such a huge, it could be a call all on its own. Um, but we make a lot of unconscious decisions from our patterns.
Right.
We make unconscious decisions from that story of the mom who cuts off the ham,
Oh
the
yeah.
end of the
Yeah.
ham.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And this next generation, Gen Z, by the way, y'all, I appreciate y'all so much. I'm sorry I ever talked about y'all Tide Pod and eating. Keep it up. Anyway, if you don't get that joke, go read the post on my page. Um, but the next generation is always looking back and going, "Why are y'all doing that?" And I think we're built that way. I think that's how evolution works on like a psychosocial spiritual level. I think that's how evolution works. And it turns out that the mom cut off the chunk of ham because great great grandma only had a pan this big. But
Absolutely.
nobody ever asked a question about the ham. The pans got bigger, but they kept this tradition of cutting off a whole chunk of perfectly good meat for no fucking
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah.
And what my family was doing was recycling dysfunction, and nobody thought to question it until I came along and went, that looks weird. Why are we
Yeah.
doing that? Could we not do that? Is there any chance that we could not do that? Now, it took me 15 years to unravel this pattern for myself because I didn't have a teacher. I didn't have a facilitator. I had all of this other shit in my world and in my system contributing to me putting up with this utter bullshit. It was utter bullshit. And one of the reasons I say it was utter bullshit is because I'm the perfect person to be in a polyamorous relationship with. I prefer to be monogamish, but with the right person, I mean, we can work some things out. I say with the right person because I tend to get men that don't like to share. We can't we can't do that. You you can't be the only one with extracurricular activities. This has to be a two-way street, homie. Anyway,
Yeah.
um, so it took me 15 years to unravel that pattern. And my friends would always be like, "Are you okay?" Because I would report the stories because my first husband did stupid shit for no reason. His lies were uncreative. And I was just like, "That's what you're going with today? Like, you're going with that? That's fantastic. Let me call somebody and tell them the story." So I wasn't affected by the cheating itself. I was more looking at, what is it about me that says it's okay for you to cheat on me? What is it about me that says it's okay for me to lie to you and stay? Like, what is it about me? Because I had those butterflies. I was so in love. Oh my God. I wasn't so in love that I excused his behavior. I still thought, you're a fucking idiot. Because you stop, please. But I was still in love with him until I wasn't. And when I wasn't, was as I unraveled those patterns and as I started to decide, um, 4 months after we split up, he was like, "Hey, can we get back together?" And I was like, "You have lost your damn mind. Like, are you feeling okay?" And he looked at me genuinely perplexed because this man has cheated on me for 14 and a half consecutive years. So
Mhm.
he doesn't understand why the party has stopped. And he said, "We've been through worse than this." Like, we weren't even together for what I can tell when he slept with this girl that was finally like, "Absolutely not. That is disgusting. I can't believe you took your penis over there." So he was like, "We've been through worse than this." And I was like, and I didn't think about it, but these are the words that came out of my mouth. "You're right, but I guess I just love myself more now than I did then." And that was the thing. Like, that was ultimately the thing that raised my bar and raised my standard. Now, I ended up in a hot mess after that. Not the same hot mess.
Yeah.
Totally different hot mess. I had to grow some more self-esteem. I had to grow some more self-worth. I'm still growing boundaries. That's a whole nother thing. But when you don't know something and you were never taught something, you have to learn those things for yourself and you have to teach those things to
Yeah.
yourself. And then as you exercise those things in your life begins to change. I'm going to tell the world something that I was telling John earlier. I have been in this extended conversation with someone who has always been a certain way. I low key hate John for this because he opened this particular door in my head. He looked at me and he was like, "So you're saying that people can't change?" And I was like, "I don't think I like you right now, but you're right. I'm not giving this person the opportunity to change." And so in this conversation, this is the second time in conversation with the same person that my mind has been blown, because this is a person that, from my experience of 5.5, 6.5 years of knowing this human, them taking responsibility for their part in a conflict with me.
Mhm.
And I'm like, and it wasn't because I was like, "You, da, 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 da." I was just the space of like, you know what? I think that you should take a look at this, and I'm gonna walk away and let you look at it and like do whatever it is that you want to do with it. And I'll be over here like drinking my tea
I like
and making.
the whole piece you say, taking space, creating space. A lot of times I don't think people do that for each other. Let's create space. So a possibility, and I'm talking with the conscious should have, sorry, but
No,
leaving space is one of those things that when you leave space, you are open for things to change. And
yeah,
for me, I think that a lot of times, especially in relationships, we don't give space, especially
because
when you're
we
in a
decide that
relationship
we
for a
know
long
that
time.
person. Yeah,
Yeah.
we decide that we know them, and they can't change
Yeah.
unless you have a conversation with John and he fucks with your mind, and you're like, maybe they can change.
Yeah. Everything
Um,
changes.
but I said something to a friend that I want to give to everybody about this particular experience. And it is that I do believe that people can change. And what I have to learn is to give them the opportunity to change. Because if I always engage you in the way that I have known you to be, there is no space for you to change in our dynamic anyway.
Yes. And that's key. And the other piece for not only the other person, giving space for you to change. I think that a lot of people take that element. They might give it to somebody else, but they don't. You know, I'm not the same John. Well, clearly people see my locks are gone. So a lot of stuff has shown up different for me since then. Not better or worse, but just different. And I have to give myself space. Like I was sharing in the class, sometimes it really fucks with me when I do the business, I don't call it consciousness business, and people don't show up. And I was like, but if one person shows up and they change, was it worthwhile? And I have not been able to say no yet. And so what I've let go of, especially since yesterday, is, you know, what if there was another possibility of something showing up that I never imagined? And I keep on focusing over here instead of looking over here. You know, I have to give myself space for things to change. Just because I'm sitting in front of this screen 2 hours from now, uh, what else might change?
Yeah. I want to address the people giving you space to change, because that is a variable. Oh, my brain is having like a aha moment, an epic aha moment. One of my things is always we can't change people.
Oh my God.
Um, and that has been to my detriment a lot. Like that point of view has been to my detriment a lot. Um, but what I'm seeing now is like, if we're in a relationship and um, I have a friend that our conversations are so long because we love talking to each other. We're passionate about the things we're passionate about, and we just and there's ADD going on, so we drop like 13 topics in 10 minutes.
I'll be better than that. I like those type of conversations.
And um, so I needed to move our calls because they were Tuesday afternoons, and I wasn't getting back to work when they were over. And I was like, absolutely not. Like, I have shit to do. So I moved our calls, and then like I needed a schedule. And so I started responding really to everybody, but to this friend included, um, like very concisely, and wasn't like typing out a paragraph or like whatever, because I gave myself a schedule and I was sticking to my schedule because my hours had suddenly increased at work, and I was like, gotta manage this, can't like love my clients, but also can't fuck this up. Um, and her response was like, are we okay? Basically, like, have I done something? Because I seemed short to her. And I was like, oh no, I'm just like focused. It has nothing to do with you. I absolutely love you. If you were in a crisis and you called me, I would absolutely stop working and talk to you and like go back to work.
Mhm.
But if you just want to chat about like sewing or the birds or whatever, then that has to wait till I'm done working. And then I'll come back and like send you a paragraph text. Um, but I needed to do that for me, regardless of what was going on with her. And some relationships won't survive you being different,
Oh, and then that
because
then that's it.
some people, right, because some
Bye,
people
Felicia.
don't have the capacity to give you the space
Hmm.
to be different. And there's also the like, when there's been a wound in a relationship, there needs to be a repair. And you also have to be aware of and available for the reality that that person might not be ready for or interested in repair with you.
Right. But I think you got to take care of you first.
Yes.
No longer do I be you wait for that mother. No,
Yes.
you take care of you first.
100%.
Just be on the airplane, put the mask on your ass first, and keep it moving. Don't wait for the other person because they have the choice to wait until they're ready. Once you have the realization and recognize, hey, I need something different, then I think it's your responsibility to act on that. I mean,
Yes.
I also think how many people, I said this yesterday to Vanessa wants you. How many people are in relationship that they hate, or how many people are in any type of relationship where these four words flow through the cross their dome? Ought to, have to, must, should. If that's showing up in anything, you're actually not being present in choice, your obligation. And it's like wiping somebody else's ass. You would do it if you have to, but it's probably not your number one thing of joy, unless you get in. Well, I guess I should stop.
Some BDSM going on
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
I
I was
think
like,
I think we like that outside of the bedroom more than we give ourselves credit for, but that's a different topic for a different
wow,
conversation.
wow.
How
It's a
many of
lot.
us do painful things and just keep doing that painful thing?
Say more. Like, I mean, I'm not too much in Pamela Woods.
Um, I hate this job. I go every day and I just complain about hating this job. I don't ever gain skills to get a new job. I don't ever try to
Okay,
start a
okay.
business.
That I got
I
you.
just like hating this job so
Yes,
fucking
yes.
much.
After a while, those people become a pain in my ass. It's like I don't want to hear this anymore. I remember telling the person that before. It's like you could choose to do something else, but and would you know when somebody tells you but, they just dismissed everything else you just said, and then they start over. And I'm like, okay. Now I look and I'd be like, okay, okay,
Yeah.
dumbass, okay, you dumb as hell, keep doing it, dumbass. You
We've
so you're right. So I guess people do that a lot. I mean, or and I'm gonna go back to something you said earlier in relationship. See, sex and marriage and relationship have nothing to do with each other. It would be ideal if people communicated that with each other, but one does not. In this, so okay, if somebody can if somebody on here and they listen to this, please help me out. Last time I looked at the stats, if three couples get married, two end up in divorce out of three couples. That's what I think the national stat in the United States is.
It depends on the marriage. The more times you've been married, the more likely you are to get divorced.
Okay.
The divorce rate on second and third marriages is up there
Okay.
like 75%.
Okay.
The
So,
divorce rate on first time marriages is more like 50%. Let's keep in mind people are opting not to get married these days because why?
and I think that hey, Kate, how you doing, sister? For later. So here's the piece that for me, I think the main reason behind that is sex is this thing that people don't talk about. And what happens is that if one person has a drive more than another person, then in certain cultures it's built in. Okay, that person goes and they do take care of what they need. And I think that people they think that sex and this what we've done is put sex and marriage together, and now the new generation is not doing that. They got fuck apps. They have apps that you can get on your phone at work at break and have a hookup after work, which is actually it's going to be interesting to see people like, oh, this generation X, da, 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 da. It's going to be interesting to see what these people are like 50 years from now, because what are they doing that's going to create a new outcome of being that really wasn't working? Because I sat back some one time and I was like, I can't think of any of my friends, maybe one, two, that have been married just one time. It's a few. You're right. I think it's a few, but majority of the people are not. And the question with it is, if you sit back and you ask, are they really truly happy in it? If they did an interview, I'm always curious about that. It's just like, or are you settling because that's the obligation that you're supposed to do in this reality?
My grandparents were married for decades, decades, long enough to have like 10 plus children together.
Hmm.
Decades, right? They were so connected that my grandfather died 6 months after my grandmother.
Right. I'm not saying that don't happen.
And he was fine, right?
Hmm.
These two people never slept in the same bedroom that I am aware of. Like for the entire 12 years that I existed on the planet, and prior to that, these people slept in separate beds, in separate bedrooms.
Huh. Interesting.
Um, if you asked me, I would tell you they didn't really like each other. But he was not about to live without her.
But that's codependent. But so here's the piece about it. I'm not. What I'm saying is,
I'm pointing out the potential dysfunction here. I'm not
yeah,
saying that this is what we
yeah,
should be striving
yeah,
for. I'm
yeah.
saying like I don't think that was healthy or good or wise or right or like whatever. I
But
liked my ex-husband for the most part.
yeah,
Um I chose someone with a few character flaws.
yeah,
But like as a person, if I extracted those things, I liked him. And that was part of the reason that I chose him. Because I looked at these two people that I didn't think liked each other and I chose something else. I missed a few steps, but I also had to learn a few lessons.
yeah. And people, and here's the piece about it. I think that people. I had a conversation with my son, and I'm amazed by my three children. I'm like, it's a blessing for me that them being in my life. But I asked my son about, well, where are you at with relationship? My son's not interested in serious. None of the three of my kids have serious relationships. And I said, first I was like, oh my God, what did I do wrong? And so Arturo, my buddy Arturo, was like, you did nothing wrong. They actually see that they get to live their life and choose when they want to. And my son is like, had a conversation with me about all his friends are like partnering up and they get married. And I said, well, that's the thing you do around 27, 30, whatever. And I was like, but how many of them are getting married because somebody got pregnant? You know, I'm not saying that you
That's why
can't.
I got married.
It's a, and what if there was somebody in the state or church or something says, just because you're pregnant, we're not doing this marriage thing. Why don't we create marriage to be something that is this thing that you really choose, but you don't choose out of obligation?
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people like, because here's the piece of people, and I'm saying this to anybody who listens to this. If people think religion is the thing that keeps you from having sex, you're stupid. So many places, just like right now, these people, the thing like this Roe versus Wade, that's a whole we can do a whole nother show on that because I have my opinions of that, and people probably be offended if I say some shit right now. So I'm not gonna fuck up people's 4th of July. But but the states that are really crazy about it is just like, what does this create? You know, uh, if I was a Martian, and I know I'm a segue off of this, I'm sorry I have to segue, and I watched the people of the United States, you care about a woman's vagina, but you don't care about kids getting shot. That's a fucking control mechanism. That's
Wait,
not
I
you
care
caring.
about this exactly. I care about this clump of cells because we're not talking about late term
Yeah, yeah,
abortion.
yeah, 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 yeah. Clump of
I
cell.
care about this clump of cells more than I care about the being in front of me carrying this clump of cells.
Yes.
I live on the Illinois Missouri border, y'all.
Yeah.
There is a legislator in Missouri who wrote into his bill to include ectopic pregnancies in the list of procedures that are now illegal. Meaning I can have a fetus growing in my fallopian tube. I don't know if y'all know, but these things are like so tiny, like way down there and like super small. No way it's going to accommodate a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pound human. We're both going to die. So, what he said when he wrote that bill is, your life means nothing to me.
And I'm happy for the people of those states that happened to. They deserve exactly what they get. And people go, oh, John, that's a harsh thing. What if this is actually a calling card for people to wake up and make a choice
Make
instead
some
of letting
choices for
both of
yourself.
those
Leave
make
your
decisions
state.
for you?
Leave
And
your
I'm not.
state.
And,
There are
and
11 of them that you can go to.
yeah.
Come
So
on over.
so here's the piece that I'm saying about that. this is the best thing that's happened in the United States. People are like, oh my God, you know, it's the end of the world. No, it's not. Hopefully, this will wake up people that people, because what happens is that idiot, and but this is the thing that I was told, somebody told me 80% of the people support this. And I'm like, oh, that's a media flaw. Once again, always consider your source. Even if you hear a news station saying something, ask ask them who they get paid by. That's all. This is the thing for people watching news. At the end of the day, ask who's paying the bills.
Yeah.
You know, or my other theory about it is if people really want to unite and fuck with people, find out people who support certain people financially and cut your dollars off from them and tell them, I'm cutting my dollars off and I'm never spending dollars with you. Like certain stores I stopped going to in Portland, once I found out they didn't like me, I'm not giving you no money, fool. Now the rest of the people who walk in there look like might not think anything of it and still do it, but me, well, I like John Ashford too much.
Yeah. 100%. I fully agree with that. And that's a sense of self. It takes a sense of self for that.
Yeah.
Um Monday morning's holiday edition. We are way over our half hour.
Yeah, but you can tell we ain't got no place to go.
I got shit to do. I ain't got shit to do today.
I love these
Um,
things.
yeah. But like, so making this relevant to the original topic, I
Yes.
love patterns. And I have a unique ability to, one of the things that I don't talk about that I can do is if you tell
Wow.
me what's going on in your body, I can tell you what's going on in your heart and your head.
See that?
And
She ain't lying.
um, um, one of the first things that I healed for myself was chronic sinusitis and allergic rhinitis, which basically meant I was sneezing all the time, my nose wouldn't stop running. And it was year round. It wasn't like seasonal allergies in the spring and a little bit in the fall. It was like, oh my God. I walked into class one day and my professor took one look at me and said, you look like trash, go home. Thanks, Barb. I will see you next week. I did go home, but I was offended on my way. Um, but I stumbled across a book by Louise Hay called Heal Your Body, this tiny little blue book. And it had diagnosis,
Hmm.
cause, affirmation, not following the rules. I made up my own affirmations. But the thing about, and I didn't have sinus problems until I moved to O'Fallon. I live in O'Fallon, Illinois. It's a small town at the bottom of the earth. Super adorable here. Feel free to come visit. If you live in one of the 39 states that has lost its fucking mind, come move here. It's a great place to live. Um, but my mom tricked me into moving here. I lived in Chicago. I loved my life. I owned a business. I had a village. My mom was like, we're moving to O'Fallon. I was like, no, homie, you're moving to O'Fallon. I will see you at some point in life. Like, I cannot go and not die. It's fine. I had a plan for my life. It did not include living at the bottom of the earth in the middle of nowhere where I didn't have transportation or a village or a business. And so my mom said, you can have a puppy. And I was like, I'm in, I'll go pack. Because I wanted a puppy since I didn't live in Mississippi anymore and didn't have a puppy anymore. So, yes, I want a puppy. I'm in. I get here, my mom goes, the puppy has to live outside. I fucking hate you. So I got bribed and I got tricked. I was livid, but I also felt stuck because I couldn't figure out how to get back to Chicago on my own. And I couldn't navigate the public transportation here, which meant I was stuck. And if you look through that book and you look at any sinus or allergy, anything, it is all about feeling stuck and feeling powerless.
You are so fucking on target with that. Because I've had the worst sinus conditions this year. And it's kind of interesting, like I was sharing the business, like I feel like I'm getting stuck, and then when I go to stuck, I start doubting me and judging me. Like, you're not working hard enough. You're not smart enough. What do you need to do different? Sometimes sometimes it's not stuck. Sometimes it's a break from the universe. And what about embracing that break? Like, there's a class that I want to take that's $1,300. Well, it's $1,000, but I'm gonna make it 13 because it flows. And I'm looking at my bank account. And I'm like, if I do that, I'm gonna be down to half. I'm gonna be down to like not very much money in my account anymore. And I'm like, but what would that create? Sometimes in business, you spend something and it comes back 100-fold or more.
We can
But
use $13,000. We can use $13,000. We can use $130,000.
yeah,
We can use $1.3 million.
yeah.
Go on.
And I think that a lot of times, you know, the gift of being stuck is a retreat period of the body and mind. Of like, look at, it's like, and me being stuck, I cut my locks. I've had more insight. There's a light that's beaming. Yesterday, I was like, after finish the group, I never really listened to my classes, and it was suggested by another sister that, man, you should really listen to what you're saying, because when I get in the class, I don't know what's happening. I know
I
people don't.
stopped John twice. I was like, can you run that again?
I'm like,
Because it was such a massive clearing. And I could feel it like rippling through the group, but I could also feel that it hadn't done its thing. And John was in facilitator mode. I was like, no, you need to like slow down and let this settle in. Because,
yeah.
yeah,
And
it was church.
so I think the letting, like what you said, letting, when that whole thing about sinus is seasonal too, which means it can show up or it can't show up for that season, which I think in life we go through different seasons of living. And what is, and now that you said that, I'm paying attention to this, what if I embrace this that I'm gonna do now, y'all world? I'm embracing this space instead of crying about this space.
I'm grinning because I have been telling John to sit his ass down for 10 minutes for months. Months.
Yeah,
Just sit down.
yeah,
Because you are in a body. Like, yes, you can create, but you are in a body.
yeah,
And your body has requirements.
yeah,
And when you honor those requirements, then you are in partnership with that vessel. And then you really can seem like you're created like a machine. But what the world doesn't see is actually, I didn't do shit on Monday but play in the dirt. But it looks to the world like you don't ever stop. You're nonstop. You go, go, go. Sure, go to a class, leave 3 days early, and sit your ass down for a couple days before the class
yeah,
starts. Or come back 3 days late and lay on the beach and let everything that just got channeled into you
yeah,
settle in and sink in and
yeah,
percolate. But you have been
yeah,
as if you are not in a body that needs to put its hands in the dirt, that needs to sit by the water,
yeah,
that needs to just sit down, laugh with friends,
yeah,
drink cocktails, like do some nothing
yeah.
for a chance.
And also, the other piece that I'm learning with this space that you're talking uh, about being with Earth, is also being with the entities. And
Mm-hmm.
now that we segue a little bit off of what we were talking about, when you actually spend time with entities, like for example, I'm gonna give you guys an insight on my and the reason I'm saying this to you guys, being present, because as you were talking, my screen started to go light, dark, light, dark, light, dark, as it does once in a while. And for those who haven't been on here before, I realize it's entities for me. And paying attention to entities will allow you to have so much more an experience of this thing called living, especially if you
You
let go.
facilitate talk to the entities.
Me, no, not yet.
Okay. I
Yeah,
was just asking.
yeah. that's part of the thing, like trying to figure out the blocking of what happens with me with certain things. Like when you ask me that piece, because then I go to think, well, I've not generated enough funds yet to take that, and so and
Doesn't matter.
and letting go of, like, the other piece I'm trying to create. Like yesterday, this class that I had for people who missed it, I want to offer people some things that they can use every day, and it doesn't have to come to, like, it's just like consciousness done. What is that book? That book looks yummy. What is that?
I will tell you, keep
Okay.
going.
Consciousness needs to be offered to people where they can receive it. And everybody's not going to be able to offer it the same way. And that's my biggest thing of creating stuff. Like right now, I'm contemplating going to Austin to a body, mind, and soul conference and doing bars with people and giving a presentation about how I work with kids. Everything fell in line. I don't know if I shared this with you. So Connor asked me if I come to Texas to do this, and I was like, I got to fly. Found a ticket, round trip ticket, $1,000. I called my timeshare. They had an opening for those 4 days that I'll be there, and I was about to block it and say, no, I'm not coming. And everything lined up. All the doors opened up, and they had spots for everything I was looking at. And so I say that because on this journey of like being stuck, I think that the universe and entities are helping me look at things on how I can be different on the planet, how other people can be different. And it doesn't have to show up the way you think it needs to show up. Think it needs to show up. It can show up a different way. I hope that makes sense to people.
110%. And I love that you noticed that things were lining up and you paid attention to what you noticed. Because my hard headed ass be like, I want it this way. And the universe is like, I'm in one of those things right now where I think should look different. And life is like, and I'm just like, fine, fine, fine. So,
It's backwards. You got
oh,
to
it's
read it.
upside down.
Oh, there we go. You can
This
heal your
is,
life.
yeah, it looks like a super
Louise
glare.
Hay.
There we go. Louise Hay. So Louise Hay died recently. Um, in the last like 3 or 4 years, I think. She was the owner of Hay House Publishing. I don't know if you can see her picture
I
on the back.
see. Yeah. Yeah.
This book includes the little body book, but it's bigger.
Uh-huh.
So the original book was this. This is the affirmation, the cause, and
Right.
the problem. So there is a nuance to this that, like, you can get the book, look up your thing, do your affirmation, see what it creates. But I got so granular with it that depending on what my symptoms are, I can tell what's going on in my body. Because yes, there's allergies, and yes, there's hay fever, and yes, there's sinusitis and allergic rhinitis, but there's also just a runny nose, which is something completely different than those other things.
Mm.
Like allergies is denying your own power. Or maybe you're in relationship with somebody that you are allergic to. You're in relationship with somebody that's getting on your fucking nerves.
Mm.
Um, but that is different than a runny nose, which is one of my allergy symptoms. But that is crying for help. So I can address denying my power. But if I don't look at the fact that in those moments when my nose is like somebody has turned a faucet and then broke the thing off,
Mm-hmm.
that I'm feeling like I need help that's not available to me or I'm not getting, my nose is going to keep running. I can look at my power all I want, but unless I look at that specifically and I go, okay, what do you actually need? How do we get that for you? Do you need to like give yourself a hug? Do you need to go visit Noelle and get a hug? Noelle gives the best hugs. Do you need to go visit Ken and Anita and get a couple hugs?
Uh-huh.
Like, what do you need? Do you need somebody to go grocery shopping for you? Like, what do you actually need? And then address that. My nose is going to keep running, no matter how many of the denying your own power affirmations you do. So, that is one of the things that moving to this little town gave me. That's one of the gifts that it gave me is I learned how to look at what my body's doing and figure out what I am thinking and feeling that is contributing to whatever my body is doing.
Hmm. Interesting. Very interesting.
Yep. So that's one of those things that I do, but I don't tell people that I do. And the reason, there's a lot of different reasons, but one of the reasons is because typically people come to me for whatever they come to me for, and it's usually either money or relationships. But the reason that I say that I help people break the patterns that keep them broke, sick, or in toxic relationships is because I had a friend come to me because of her relationship with her dad. And we did the facilitation and we did the coaching and we did the energy work. And the next time I talked to her, she said, I didn't tell you this, but my hand was hurting because I have arthritis in my hand. And since our call, my hand has not hurt.
Hmm.
I didn't know her hand was hurting in the first place, so I didn't do shit to her hand.
Hmm.
She had knee pain that was so severe that she was considering knee replacement surgery. One session, 18 months, no knee pain.
Wow. Wow.
Because what's going on in our body is typically a reflection of what's going on in our vibration,
Yeah.
which is affected by our thoughts and our feelings and our
Yeah.
emotions. Feelings and emotions are different things, people. Um, and so when you clear up that vibration, your body can do what it is supposed to do, which is find equilibrium,
Yeah.
find wholeness, find balance. Your body heals itself. I don't heal bodies,
Yep.
but
Nobody heals
bodies
bodies.
heal themselves.
Nobody heals bodies. You can facilitate something, but you can't heal it. It's a difference.
Bodies heal themselves when we together take out all of the gunk that is in the way of your body healing itself.
And access conscious. I mean, there's a class that I've taken multiple times called 3-day body class, and in that class, people ask the facilitator about uh, cancer. And the first time I heard Gary Douglas describe this, he was talking about cancer is a disease that people create to get out of something quickly because it's the fastest dying disease that we have in the States, I think. And you can create it and you can be gone quick because it's the way it works. And when I first heard that, I was like, what? That's ludicrous. That's not possible. But then I look at things, I'm like, well, sometimes people want to get out of something. And like, for example, when I first heard it, I listened to the brother who played the Black Panther. I was like, well, that doesn't make any sense because he was at the height of his career. But what we don't know is what was going on inside of his vibration.
Here's another thing about cancer. Cancer is a function, can be a function of guilt, or depending on where the cancer is, shame,
Mm. Yeah.
which are different flavors of the same frequency.
Yeah.
If you look at people who develop cancer of the reproductive region, particularly women, you will find out that there is some sexual guilt or sexual shame.
Mm. Wow.
And those
Wow.
thoughts
Permeate the
become
body.
things in your body.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
True that.
so while I do not work directly
And
with
we're not
bodies and
doctors. I
purpose
want
and
to say
stuff.
that some people say, "Are you guys in medical?" No, I just we.
No, we're talking about
What I
this.
would say is talking about Lila. She's a healer, and when you become a healer, you use every tool at your disposal to facilitate people for better embodiment. I would say, at least that's
Into
been my
their wholeness.
yeah, yeah, kind of interesting. Well, y'all, it's 8:12. It's been
It's
an
been double
hour and
time.
5 minutes. We all had this holiday time, special event. I wanted everybody to get to know this magical sister called Leela, and what a I get to talk to her all the time. So I haven't met her in person, but I think the next time I come home, I'm just gonna rent a
We'll
car and
fix that. We'll
drive
fix
down
that.
there because you know somebody you talk to. Somebody said I think somebody who was asking me a question yesterday. I think Vanessa was like,
Vanessa.
"Well, I said, no, I've never met." I said, most of the people on the screen that were on there, I haven't met in person, but I met them through Zoom. And I was like,
Yeah,
I talk to Lila like every day or so, or at
for a
least we
few
do something a
days.
week.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm like, what the fuck? I've never met this person to make this happen. And I'm talking about going over to the Middle East to hang out with Colette. So
Yeah. Oh, Colette's in the Middle East.
yeah, she's in Saudi. Yes.
Colette's fab. Her
Yeah.
face yesterday when you were like SOP had me dying. Y'all, okay, listen. I know this call's about me, but I want to gush over John. If you've never had an SOP session with John, do yourself a favor. Book a session. Seriously. Just do the thing. Or here's an alternative. You can get on you can buy yesterday's recording. They can buy yesterday's recording, right?
Yes. Yes,
You can
not
buy
yet. Not up
yesterday's
yet. Yeah,
recording.
it's not up yet. It'll be up in a couple of days. Yeah.
Email John. You can buy yesterday's recording and you can get a taste of SOP. But what you really want is John's full SOP attention on your body. That's what you really, really want.
Thank you, sister. Thank you. I love doing that. I love doing it. And I will say SOP to me is very orgasmic.
Mm,
Very much orgasmic. And I want people to take their mind. You can leave your mind in the gutter too, but orgasmic to the point that it's this thing that I've learned that's cosmic. And because
I
the
guess I've
body,
hung out with you long enough that that was not where my brain went when you said orgasmic. But when you said it, I was like, oh, yeah, I guess it does involve those parts too.
yeah,
It can
yeah,
involve those
it
parts,
can
but also
involve
the
that
orgasmic.
because of the story I told you about the one sister. So, uh, but more than that, I can't put words to it. And that's the downside for me. I can't put words to it because it's energy. You know how you have that energetic experience? You're like, ooh, that. That's what SOP is. And it's very healing. And it's not a direct hit. It's like
Mhm.
if you get it. But anyway, I appreciate you, sister.
Um, Absolutely. So, last thing, one of the reasons that I haven't been offering one-to-one work is because I'm navigating my way out of burnout last year. The last 3 years were really hard, and I did none of the slowing down I told John to do. Um, um, but what I am about to start doing, because I got the guidance last week that I need to be using my gifts. So, what I am about to start doing is facilitating a movement modality called Koya. So, for the ladies in the comments, for the ladies watching this, um, it it is. I consider it like dance and yoga as an embodiment practice. And if you don't think you can dance, you have to come. You have to come because this is not a dance class. This is an opportunity for you to get in your body and feel what it's like to be in your body with some music in space with other women doing the exact same thing. They're happening via Zoom. They're not on my calendar yet, but they'll get on my calendar. They'll probably be Saturday afternoons or Friday evenings. and they're by donation because I'm still in training. So
And so you say only for women?
yeah, my classes are only for women because I want to that's the space that I'm willing to hold right now.
Yeah.
But there are some facilitators who facilitate co-ed spaces. And if you're looking for one of those, you can go to koya.love, and it's QOYA.LOVE. And I'll pin this in some comment somewhere when we're done. And find a facilitator who facilitates co-ed virtual classes. Or maybe there's somebody in your area. I don't know. It's getting real popular, especially if you're in France, apparently.
Hmm.
But the modality was created for the feminine form. And it has since evolved to be exponentially more inclusive. I'm just going to say that I don't have the capacity to hold that space right now.
Mhm.
I'm not saying that won't ever change, but
Right, right.
right now my classes are for women.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Well, cool.
that's it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing right now.
And I got two things I want to share. I'm doing. I have a. You got to go to my
Money
website.
class.
www. I have a money class. It's 8 to 10 weeks. It says 8, but it's going to be 10 weeks because I do some things. We play some games with it, time and space, and probably we'll go from like July to September, because I spread out when I'm in town. It changes. It's fluctual, and I want to invite people to that. And then also have a bars class. Tori's doing a bars class here next week at the house. And then Paul Kearney and I are actually doing an SOP taster on July 14th, in the morning. You can go to the website and check that out. Would love to see people on that. That's going to be fun. I mean, Paul Kearney lives in Ireland. I'm here in Washington. We're going to partner up and have some fun with bodies.
So if a private SOP is not in your budget,
Yeah,
hop on that one.
private's a little bit more. I think it's 569 or 669, and this taster is going to be 50, but it's different. So and let me say this to people. I realize when people are like, "My God, that's a lot." It is a
It's a
lot
lot
of
for people who it's a
change.
lot for, but
Yeah,
it won't be a
yeah,
lot for everybody. And you've also heard I would have paid double.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
I love that reminder on your face. You're like, oh yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah,
have been told that, haven't
yeah,
I?
yeah. So anyway, I'm gonna get out here,
It's
people.
a lot for you. Come to the taster.
Yes, yes. And then you'll probably get the one-on-one. Trust me. It's like having, oh, that's just one scoop. I want 3 scoops and some bananas and cherries and
Oh,
caramel. Oh my. Anyway, lovely people. I got to get out of here. I'm gonna turn into a frog. Have a
you're so
wonderful rest of your holiday for those in the States and everybody else watching outside the States. Peace and blessings. Hoping you're enjoying being you. Bye.
everybody.